Hello and welcome to another session of Fridays with Father on this first Friday of Lent. First of all, I want to encourage you to take a look at Kathy Drennan's reflection on the first Friday of Lent on the parish website. Kathy is always well informed and she always does a great reflection. So I'm hoping that you can see her reflection. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Via Crucis, they call it in Latin, the Stations of the Cross. And I really enjoy praying the Stations of the Cross during Lent and other times of the year. It's not relegated just to the time of Lent. But there are special people that are in the Stations of the Cross that merit our consideration. First of all, of course, is Jesus. But I'd like to go a little bit beyond that. And so for this week and possibly next, I may go on for the week after, who are the heroes or the important people in the Stations of the Cross? Well, the first person that we run into is Pontius Pilate in the first Station of the Cross, where Jesus is condemned to death. Remember that Pontius Pilate is conflicted. He likes hearing Jesus talk. He's very interested in what Jesus has to say. And then also, too, in one of the Gospels, it is said that Pontius Pilate's wife comes to him and says, "Don't have anything to do with this man. I had a dream, and I worry that you are passing judgment on him when you really shouldn't." Pontius Pilate, however, is in some very difficult situations. First of all, he's someone who is touched by Jesus' words, yet at the same time, I was just following orders. He has a job to do. He has to be the governor, and this Jesus is being accused of insurrection against the government, and he is the point person, so what is going to happen to him? He is not sure what to do. So what does he do? He washes his hands and says, "This man's blood is not on my hands." And so he's kind of the poster child of people who say, "You know what, I really should do something, but I'm going to step back and let somebody else do it." Think of the times in your life when you've seen an injustice, when you've seen things that really shouldn't be happening, when you say that, "You know, this is really a horrible situation. I wish the government would do something," or "Someone who has interest in this thing really ought to do something because this is important." Well, you know what? It falls to us. We're members of the government. We are members of we the people. And so we have an obligation to stand up when something's not right and try to do our best to rectify the situation. When kids are being bullied at school, or when things at work aren't going well, or when somebody's getting picked on, when a situation is just not right, instead of saying, "Boy, somebody else really ought to do something," we ought to reject that Pontius Pilate idea and say, "You know what? I have the ability to do something. I'm going to do it." Believe me, I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you, because so many times we can just say, "I'm too busy. I don't have the influence. I don't have the power to change anything. I'll just let it be." And then what do we have? A more unjust, a more violent, a more difficult society to live in. Then also, too, Jesus goes along and he, in the fifth station, meets Simon of Cyrene. I think Simon of Cyrene is really important as well. He's just standing by the side of the road. He's not like Pontius Pilate, who has power and influence. Simon of Cyrene is standing by the side of the road, and Jesus can't go on. And so the disciples pull him out of line and say, "Simon, you help Jesus with his cross." And I don't know if you saw the Mel Gibson movie. Simon goes to great lengths to say, "Now wait a minute, when we get to the top of this hill, it's not me you're going to crucify, it's him." He's saying, "Wait a minute, I'm happy to help, but..." So Simon helps Jesus carry his cross. So think about the times that have been most difficult for you. Have there been Simons who have come into your life miraculously, amazingly? You're feeling really sad, something bad is going on, and yet you receive a phone call from someone, and that phone call lifts you up. Maybe somebody says, yes, I'll pray for you. I know life is difficult for you, but I'm going to keep you in my prayers. I'm going to help you in whatever way I can. Or there's a death in the family, and someone brings by food, or brings by, some help, some money or something like that, brings by a Mass card to give you some support in the difficult times. Those are Simon of Cyrene moments. So I'm sure you have been helped in Simon of Cyrene moments where difficult things have been going on, and then miraculously some help comes. We also, too, are called to be people who are like Simon of Cyrene, reaching out a hand in the most difficult times of someone's life. And in those ways, we're able to minister also, not just to one person, but to the Lord. So the holy presence of this person who's going through suffering is helped by our intervention, by our reaching out a hand to help that person. So those are two. I'll give you those today to think upon. First of all, have we just kind of stood by the wayside and let somebody else do something? We ought to be the person who jumps up and says, here, I will help, just like Simon of Cyrene did. So we pray today that this time of Lent may be a good one for us. And next week, I'll come in with a few more heroes of the Stations of the Cross. Have a great day, and God bless.